Sup guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to a new Bracketology update, the first one of the season. I know I did a preseason one, but other than that, I haven't been doing any, but this is the first one. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, and you can kind of see my reflection in the video right there, so hopefully that doesn't distract from you too much, but man, I'm glad to be back. The first month of the season was absolutely crazy, seeing Furman upset Villanova, Michigan go on an absolute tear, Louisville starting to come back into relevance, Duke destroying Kentucky, which makes me sad as a UK fan, but there's a lot of other stuff that happened. It's too much to get into at this point, but this time we're just going to do some bracketology. So up here in the first section, Gonzaga will be the #1 overall seed after beating Duke earlier. Then Jalen already has Duke as the second #1 seed. Scroll down a little bit to the Midwest. We got Kansas and Michigan there are the top 2 seeds. And over here, in Louisville, which I might go to that. Haven't decided yet. It's going to be the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 regional. Might go to that. Haven't decided yet. We got Virginia and Auburn. So, a couple of surprising ones to me. Kentucky is a 4 seed. I think they'd be a 3 seed as of right now. They put Virginia Tech ahead of Kentucky, which is a bit surprising. Villanova is now a 5 seed after being a top 5 team at the beginning of, I think, a top 5. Either top 5 or top 10. Now they're down to a 5 seed. Wisconsin's ahead of them. Kansas State's down to a 4. Indiana's moving up to a 6. Mississippi State is on the rise at number 5. Florida's a 10. St. John's is a 10. The playing games on the bubble are UCLA and Minnesota right there. And then Louisville and Oklahoma. So I'll go and show you the bubble real quick. Last 4 in, UCLA, Minnesota, Louisville, and Oklahoma. First 4 out, TCU, Miami, Arizona, which is surprising. Then Washington. Then the next 4 out are Arkansas, Notre Dame, Northwestern, and Penn State. So then, as you guys know, if you've been following me, I go on Brackify.com and create a bracket that you guys can fill out. And on December 31st, 2018, Brackify.com is going to be shutting down. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully, I can figure out some new site that I can go and update these, put the bracketologies in, and then you guys can vote for them and stuff like that. We'll have to see what happens. If somebody buys them out, then we'll be able to keep doing it. But I don't know what's going to happen, to be completely honest. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the predictions. Now, I made this bracket a couple of days ago and already has over 1,000 votes. I know my preseason one has about 12,000 votes, which is pretty good for being the preseason, and I think it has about 300 views or something like that, but it's not too bad. Here we got Gonzaga beating Lehigh. I'm trying to get to the next one. Here we go, just click next up here. There we go, okay. Arizona State, NC State, I think this one's up in the air. I don't know too much about these teams at some point, or at this point, but I know Arizona State was doing pretty well last season. I'll go with them. And then we got number 5, once it loads. Number 5, Mississippi State against South Dakota State. Got to go with Mississippi State there. Kansas State will beat Old Dominion. I don't see Old Dominion making the tournament. I think that's coming out of the Conference USA. I think it's going to be Western Kentucky coming out of there. And then Indiana is a 6 seed beating the 11 seed Cincinnati. Cincinnati being a 2 seed last year, dropping all the way to an 11 seed. Florida State's going to beat UC Irvine. I think Florida beats Iowa. That's my only upset prediction of this part of the bracket. And Nevada will beat New Mexico State. So we got Virginia beating Radford. They're going to get the win in the first round this year. They're not going to pull a UMBC from last year. Oregon with Bobo is going to beat West Virginia, who lost to WKU. Villanova is going to end Loyola Chicago's Cinderella run right there, even though I don't know if it'd be considered Cinderella if they win a game or two this year, just because they went to the Final Four last year, but it'd be pretty interesting to see. Wisconsin's going to beat Northeastern. Nebraska is going to beat St. Louis. North Carolina is going to beat Lipscomb. I think Maryland will beat Butler. Butler's kind of fallen off in recent years. And then Auburn will beat Georgia State. Then we got Duke beating the winner of Norfolk State and St. Francis. I think Creighton will beat UCF and Taco Fall. Ohio State's going to beat Wofford, though Wofford's always a good a team who gives like really good teams a run for their money, like they beat North Carolina last year. And then Texas Tech will beat Belmont. I think the winner of UCLA and Minnesota, which I think will be Minnesota, will beat Iowa State. Tennessee is going to beat Montana. Syracuse will beat St. John's with Tyus Battle. Then we got Michigan State beating Rider. Then we got Kansas beating the winner of Stephen F. Austin and Texas Southern, which I think will be Texas Southern, who beat Oregon earlier in the season. And then Clemson will beat Houston. Then Purdue will beat the winner of Louisville and Oklahoma, which I think would be Louisville. That'd be pretty interesting to see with Jeff Brom, the Purdue football coach, turning down Louisville football. I think that'd be a little bit of a rivalry game, but we'll see what happens. Kentucky's going to beat Yale. I think that LSU is definitely going to upset Buffalo here. I think Buffalo's a bit high right now. And then Virginia Tech's going to beat Northern Kentucky. Texas will beat Marquette. And then we got Michigan beating Vermont. And then for a chance to move into the Sweet 16, we got Gonzaga beating Arizona State. I think I don't know here. I haven't seen too much from Kansas State this season. I'm going to go with Mississippi State pulling off the slight upset. Indiana pulling off the upset here with Romeo Langford against Florida State. And then Nevada's going to beat Florida. Virginia's going to beat Oregon, though some people are picking Bobo and Oregon to move on there. And I think Villanova's going to beat Wisconsin, have both 5 seeds beating the 4 seed. Then we got North Carolina beating Nebraska, Auburn beating Maryland, Duke beating Creighton, Ohio State beating Texas Tech, though I see a lot of people picking Texas Tech. This one's another toss-up for me. I don't have much of an idea about these 2 teams at this point. And then we have Tennessee beating the winner of UCLA and Minnesota, which I said earlier would be Minnesota. I think that Michigan State's going to beat Syracuse, so that's a trap game kind of like last year where Syracuse upset Michigan State. Then we got Kansas beating Clemson, Kentucky beating Purdue, which we could see a potential Kentucky-Louisville matchup there if Louisville beats Oklahoma and then Purdue. That'd be pretty interesting to see. And we got Virginia Tech beating LSU, Michigan beating Texas. And then for a spot in the Elite Eight, we got Gonzaga beating Mississippi State, Indiana and Nevada. I think it's going to be Nevada moving on. I think they're pretty underrated, even though they were a 2 seed there. I know not too many people know about them. I saw them play live and beat Cincinnati last year. They are a really good team. And then we have Virginia beating Villanova. I think that was my national championship game last year, and now they're facing off in a regional setting. Then we got North Carolina beating Auburn. I don't think Auburn's going to beat a really good team like North Carolina there. Duke's going to beat Ohio State. And we got, I think Tennessee's going to pull off the victory here against Michigan State. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick. They both played a common opponent, which was Louisville. Michigan State lost to them, Tennessee won. I'm going to go with Tennessee moving on there. And Kansas and Kentucky, I got to go with my Kentucky Wildcats here. I have to. I think they're a better team than Kansas, especially with Asubiki, or however you pronounce his name. He's going to be out for a little bit. And then we'll have Kentucky winning there. I think they'll be able to turn it on by the end of the season. And then Michigan's going to beat Virginia Tech. Then for a spot in the Final Four, Gonzaga and Nevada. It's got to be Gonzaga moving on. Then Virginia and North Carolina. I got to agree with these people about all the ACC teams for a spot in the Final Four. I'm going to go with North Carolina. And then Duke and Tennessee. I think that one's pretty obvious. I think Duke's going to win that one, even though I hate the coverage that ESPN is giving for Duke and Zion. They think he's a god. He's not. And then Kentucky, I think, is going to beat Michigan there. Battle of Charles Matthews versus his old team, Kentucky. And then for a spot in the national championship game, Gonzaga and North Carolina. I think it's going to be Gonzaga. And as much as I want to move Kentucky on here, I think Duke's definitely going to win that game. They just showed they can destroy Kentucky. I think it'll be a lot closer this time around, but I think Duke will still win. And then Duke and Gonzaga, I think Duke gets the revenge and wins the national championship. As much as it pains me to say, I hate Duke with a passion, but I think they're the best team in the nation. I think they win it all. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll put this link in the description for you guys to go ahead and vote. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you all later. Thanks for watching.